Everybody wave hello. Here we are. Join me. Let's dance, ladies. Come on. That's it.
Welcome to the creativity show.
Well, sort of.
Alive hour, let it flow.
Let it flow. Unscripted words in a velvet ring. Savvy minds. They're bringing. In the glow. Radio Red. Go. Tell me what it is. Sparks your fire. Higher. Higher. There we go. There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Monday. Where else would Radio Red be without this microphone that's bothering the heck out of her on her neck? I am here. I've renamed the show. It used to be Read My Lips. Then it was all kinds of other things. Last week it was the Creativity Spark Show. And today it's Creative People Roundtable because that's what I am bringing you. Three very, very smart, very beautiful, very creative people. And this is a roundtable. And the reason, ladies, that I put people in the title of the show is because everybody's wondering, is it real or is it AI? Well, I think, Detria, you're real. Wave hello. You're real? Yes, Detria's real.
Absolutely,
Kim,
I'm
are you a
real.
real person, Kim?
I'm real.
Okay,
Yep.
good. And Lucy, I think I know you're real. And if your friend Terry, who's helping you, wants to say hello, she can wave hello too. We're very.
Hi, I'm here too.
There she is. There she is. Good. Okay, ladies, I'm delighted to have you. And I met all three of you, not Terry, but the three main people, main characters in today's play. I met you at the National Publicity Summit recently, virtual summit, and you've been so patient waiting to come on the show. And I appreciate that. So I'm going to do my introduction. And when I call your name, just wave and smile, and we're going to have a good time, okay? So here we go. Today on akaRadioRed's Creative People Roundtable, unforgettable stories take flight, with host Radio Red on her scarlet mic, live streaming bright. Serving up creativity. There's the word serving. One of you know what that means. Serving up creativity is our spotlight today, where people, passions, experiences, and aha moments light the way. Luhan, say hello, wave hello, there she is.
Hello.
Kim Bantle, wave hello. And Detria A. Everson, wave hello. They're joining to share how creativity shapes their journeys with purpose, with compassion, and with care. Enjoy their bold ideas, our cool conversations, and inspiration. That is real. Discover, this is a message to my audience, discover what your creativity may spark and the new paths it may reveal. And now I have a special introduction, a gift for each of you. And Lucy, you're up first, and I hope you enjoy this. Here we go. From Hartford's welcoming family table, Lucy's journey first took flight. With Italian roots and stories shared, she learned food brings pure delight. Degrees in language arts and PR helped her open many doors. Then California crowned her pasta queen with bustling restaurant floors. She handcrafted pasta long before it became the latest trend, serving memorable meals where every guest became a friend. When fortune changed, Lucy chose brave roads instead of living with regret, trading therapy for Tuscany, her wisest adventure yet. Now 1,400 olive trees inspire each chapter, Lucy writes. As author, olive oil sommelier, she celebrates life's simple delights. Her creativity blends friendship, laughter, wellness, travel, and cuisine. Her table, her books, and her Tuscan groves reveal what living well can really mean. Lucy, welcome. I hope you enjoyed that.
Was fabulous. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's why I asked you for the origin story, because I want to get to know you.
Dear.
Kim is next. Kim was raised in Larchmont, youngest of 7, where music filled the family floor. All 7 children danced with their parents, then practiced swing at home once more. Kim balanced books with basketball and even tap danced with delight, graduating near the top while chasing every dream in sight. A magna cum laude Boston grad, Kim's London year changed all she would see. It awakened gifts she'd quietly known and shaped who she would be. For 23 years in television, Viacom and Paramount knew her name. as she led their programming, marketing, sales, and development with great acclaim. Her memoir, Confessions of a Closeted Clairvoyant, tells the story she'd long planned, tracing intuitive gifts through 4 generations of remarkable Irish women firsthand. Through 48 states, 22 countries, curiosity has remained Kim's guiding key. She reminds us that our greatest compass may be the inner voice we cannot see. Kim, I hope you enjoyed that.
Love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Deetra is next. From Pine Bluff's caring hometown roots, where faith and service led the way, Deetra's parents taught that helping others brings purpose each and every day. At Dad's Granny's Kitchen restaurant, she welcomed guests with grace and cheer, learning leadership and compassion that inspire her still today here. Science, student leadership, and music shaped her curious mind until she found serving entire communities was what her calling had well defined. From healthcare, housing, youth, and hope, Deetra helped new futures start, always lifting lives with vision, wisdom, and a generous heart. Her book, Serving is a Superpower, shares the lessons she holds dear. She shows how changing a life begins when we choose to volunteer. Now she dreams of bringing history home so Pine Bluff's stories shine once more, proving one inspired life can open many hearts and new doors by the score. Deetra, I hope you enjoyed that.
I loved it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So here's the closing. Kids, the show's over. I read the poems and that's it. You can go away. So gather round where the cool kids and the cool vibes sway as we serve up sweet creativity today. AKA Radio Red's energy lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. Ladies, how'd I do? What do you think?
Fantastic.
That was
I'm
wonderful.
I'm glad. Those are my special gifts
Really
to my guest.
great.
I enjoy. That's why I don't just ask you for your media bio or
Mhm.
your one sheet. I want to know who you are as a person, how you came through life to be who you are today. That's what's important to me so that my viewers, my listeners get to know you. Before you even speak, I want them to say, oh, wow, that's really something. That's a life of creativity. That's the whole point. So, ladies, let's go around the table. Remember, we're speaking in approximately 3-minute sound bites, and I'm not clocking you. And Jordan, our engineer at the Voice America Media Empowerment Channel, doesn't have one of those little hourglasses, Lucy, that goes dot, 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 with the grains of sand. And he's like, 3 minutes, be quiet now. We don't do that. But it's a loose timing because we want everybody to have plenty of opportunity to speak. So let's start with you, Kim. What I'd like to do is I'm putting you on speaker view, and I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about yourself. If you would like to hold up your book or point to it, it's beautiful behind you, and tell us a little bit about that part of your life, which I didn't really go into. So, Kim, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Really fun. This is my book, Confessions of a Closeted Clairvoyant. It's a memoir about my life in this realm. My mother realized when I was 9 that I could find things telepathically. It is a skill, several of these skills ran in her side of the family, although she was afraid of them and stopped trying to use them. But she kept testing me. And I think because of her reaction, I realized that I actually had a skill, and I started to really hone in on it. But all my life, I've been able to read minds, channel emotion. I see spirits. I talk to spirits. Several different skills. And through my life, they built, they continue to build. In high school was the first time I really realized I was being fed information about people that I shouldn't know, and it made for some very awkward conversations. Same in meetings, high level business meetings. I mean, from blackmail to fraud to you know, who they met with before they came to see us. I had some interesting experiences, and I believe I got hired because of my intuition. Believe it or not,
Hired
I
by
had
whom? Hired where? Hired where?
hired in the TV business. I mean, when I worked in the TV business, I could read minds, and they would say to me, "How are you doing that?" You know, one of my bosses stopped telling me about meetings. He called me in after they started. They decided I had a detective in the family, and I was researching people before the meetings. And when I finally said to him one day, well, maybe I'm reading minds, he said, no, really, how are you doing it? So, it wouldn't matter if I told anyone what was happening. Nobody, especially this was the 90s, 80s, 90s, nobody would have believed it.
What's your favorite confession in your book? Can we ask you that?
My favorite confession in my book,
How many confessions are
there's a
there?
lot. All of my life, this is my whole life story. I mean, I called the other side of me inside me. I always considered it a box where I kept all my secrets and all my information. But, if you go to any pub in Ireland or Europe or most of the bars between New York and LA, they all know my secrets because that's past the only time I ever told anybody. Strangers heard about it, but most people in my life, I mean, several of my siblings are sensitive, so we grew up in this weird environment where things were not that strange, and it took me a long time to realize the rest of the world doesn't really think the way that we think. And, I mean, I made my brother read my mind to find his Easter basket one year. We would hide things, and yeah, I mean, other people don't do that.
No, I have a morning show under my other name, Bonnie D, called Say What? Good News 5 days a week. And when
Oh
you were
yeah,
talking just
I
now,
could feel that.
I
Yeah,
wanted to
I could
say,
feel that.
say what?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. Yeah. Did you send me a PDF of your book? If you didn't, please send it. I would love to read it.
Okay, I think I might have, but I will. I'll check.
I'll take a look after the show.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Lucy Luhan, you are next, dear. I'm putting you on speaker view, and we'd love to know a little bit about you. And if you have a book, why don't you hold it up and show us and tell us
Your
about it? Go
books.
ahead. There you go. Talk to me.
Well, I never planned to be an author, and I didn't plan it, but my entire life, my goals and my journeys always seem to end up in a detour in a different direction. But a very dear friend that was kept encouraging me to write, and I said, I'm not a writer. And he one day called from Hawaii and he said, I opened a publishing company. Why? Because I'm going to publish your books. And so I did get to write my two books. He published it free for me. In fact, he's in the preface of one of the books. One book, I basically was thinking more for my family because it's hard to tell people to sit at a table for an hour for dinner, but that's what we've done all my life since I was born. The table is very important for us and our family, and it's I kind of regret in a way. In the 50s, everybody ate at the table. In the 60s, TV dinners, they got away from the table. In the 70s, mother went out to work. In the 80s, the creative culture came in and started having foods to go, whatever. It's sad to see in the 2000 year that food is in and out quick. And now at 2025, I understand that the dining room table is disappearing. For an Italian, this is the highlight of the day. It's a ritual, it's sacred. Your mandatory attendance is at the table all my life. And I met a man who was Spanish and been with me for 60 years, and he was raised with the same food culture. And the other book was just funny stories that really happened with guests coming to our bed and breakfast in
Hold them up a
Tuscany.
little higher. Lucy, hold.
In our
There
bed
you
and
go.
breakfast in Tuscany. I didn't expect to do that either, but the funny tales came out, and it was suggested to me by somebody that said they wanted to make a movie out of it, which I didn't do yet. But they're funny stories of Americans and the predicaments they get in Tuscany when they came to visit me. So I'm part author now, but and I'm ready to do my third book, which will be, since my kids are firing from my work right now, it's another long story. I'm being fired by my children after working 45 years in the
The
bed and breakfast.
nerve. The nerve. Lucy, I
Well,
have to tell you, your microphone is so sharp and clear.
oh dear.
Jordan and I are just amazed that you're just talking into a Mac. Ladies, you can hear it, right, Kim and Deidre?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
sharp and so clear.
Very
And
good.
we have to
Yeah.
do a thank you to your
Well,
friend Terry
great.
for setting it. So finish. So the third book is coming out when?
Well, and if I could just preface it with saying I had no intention of doing it, and kids say, at 86, my husband 94 can't work anymore. I said, no, 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 I can. My mother lived 105, my mother 106. Well, this last year I took a fall. It's a long story, broke my hip. And the kids say that's a message from the Lord. And I was 8 weeks in the hospital, so now I'm writing a book and quitting the business. So my next book is it's sort of after 60 years in the culinary field in both America and Italy, two countries I love and adore. In America, a couple of restaurants, my books; in Italy, my olive oil production and teaching the Mediterranean diet for the last 40 years. I have come to realize these two countries I love, they're extremes on a food scale. And Italy, number one in longevity in all of Europe, and in America, country I love, continues to decline on longevity. So the book is actually, it's a series of 4 books. I call it a tetralogy of 4 books under the title Your Choice, Early Death, or longevity, and it really is our choice. So I have 4 books. The first one under this title. The first one is America Wake Up, and you're killing our children. I know it sounds terrible, but I have the statistics proving that children are dying too young in our
Tell us
country.
about the other books because we got to move on. Go ahead.
And
Go
the
ahead.
other one is my olive oil addict mother. And the third one is children have to learn food habits early in life. And the fourth one is besides the food, we have to make a living more, not just a life, and start enjoying ourselves. So these are the 4 roads I suggest people take on the road to longevity. And it's your choice, because we really, we think it's DNA. DNA is 20%. Our lifestyle is 80%. And it's the
Yes.
way we live that will determine how long we live.
And
So,
that's why I call this Creative People Roundtable, because we're all creating the life, hopefully the one that we want to live. Now, my mom, Ruth, lived to 100 years, 1 month, and 15 days. Compared to the ladies you just mentioned, Lucy, my mom left way too soon, but her bestie Gertrude lived to 104. So there you go. But there was no paying attention at those days. They didn't know about cholesterol. They didn't know about not eating red meat. They didn't know about all the food colors on the table and all of that. They just lived. And they lived very long, very productive, very happy lives. So there's something in that. I always tell my mom there's something in the water she and her girlfriends were drinking that let them all live so long. And I'm just still, I'm trying to find that water, but I'm on my 5th brand and I can't find it yet. So what can I tell you? Thank you, Lucy. Deetra, I'm putting you on speaker view. Would you please tell us about your story, about serving, about your book? You're up, you're beautiful, and let's hear from you.
Oh,
Go ahead.
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Radio Red. This has been an amazing journey. And quite frankly, I didn't have the intention to write a book early on, but I will tell you my upbringing, as you mentioned so eloquently in the opening, was from a small town where I learned these lessons from my mom and my dad. Both of them giving people. My mother was a social worker, so I watched her take care of very vulnerable children and advocate for them majority of my life and knew what that was in her career. But I also saw her demonstrate that, and she demonstrated it so beautifully, not just in her career, but through her friends, her family, and anyone that came into her area or got a chance to be blessed by knowing her. One of the things that was really important for me over the last few years as I started writing this book was I recognized as I got older, I was more like my mother than I really thought, more of the giving and serving. And I realized that even though I've had a very different career, I've gone into corporate nonprofit spaces where I've led national organizations, I realized that the greatest joy and the greatest part of my success as an executive over these past 20 some years has truly been when I understood service. And in looking at that, I started putting some thoughts down. I thought, I really want to change some of the conversation that people are having today. There's a lot that goes on around us that we actually cannot control, but I believe we all have this inner superpower called service. And so I wanted to make sure I put that on paper so that people could really see and hear what's on my heart, but also identify that within themselves. I truly believe serving is a superpower that each and every one of us possesses. And so my book that is here and behind me, Serving is a Superpower, is a great conversation starter, as I say. I want people to start talking about the things that they can do individually each and every day, and why I look at my life now as a way of being in service to people around me. It's been an exciting journey to write the book. It's been about 3 years in the making, and my mother was truly part of the inspiration behind that. And it was wonderful for me to be able to share some of her amazing stories and experiences that led me to this moment. And so I'm looking forward to really sparking a national conversation about service and changing. Stop looking outside for other things going on in the world to be, frustrated about, complain about. Think about what you can do every single day to make someone else's day just a little bit brighter or make their load just a little bit lighter. And that is really the energy and the creativity behind Serving is a Superpower.
I love it. I have to tell you, I had a TV show. I actually had four series, no surprise, when I was on Long Island, and one was What's So Funny. I had my own stand-up comedy troupe, and I took some improv lessons from some well-known people in the industry in New York, and then I had a show called Chamber Vision, which was more talking about people in the Chamber of Commerce, Lucy, the local restaurants and bakeries and things like that. It was on the edge of commercialism, but that was not the goal. It was just conversation. And then my show, I started a show called Senior Moments, the Happy Ones with my mom. Lucy, when Ruth was 86, I called her and I said, "Would you like to co-host a new show with me?" And she said, "Heck yes." And she was basically the star. She basically told she was in the green room with the guests while I was getting the crew ready. I'm leading to the point here, Dietra, in just a second. And then I had a show called what was my fourth one? Something to Talk About. That was my longest running one. They ran all together about 20 years. I did thousands of shows, but volunteer crew. Deetra,
Wow.
everybody on the crew was doing it because A, the students, high school kids were getting some kind of credit, some of them, but my crew ranged in age from 17 to the late 70s. These were people who loved making local TV
Wow.
happen. No money exchanged hands, no goods exchange. Well, I got pizza for them, tuna and bagels from the bagel store. I fed them and I loved them and I thanked them, but it was all on a volunteer basis. And I think the word volunteer gets a bad rap, Deidre.
Absolutely.
It
It
gets,
does. I think a lot of people think it's something that you do when you deplete yourself. You're
yeah,
always giving to others more than yourself. What I have learned is that honestly, serving is the power that transforms our lives through giving and receiving. Whenever you're doing something for someone else that you think
yeah,
you might be giving away your time or giving away your talent, you really are receiving something in return that we can't really quantify. And
yes.
it's beautiful.
Very, very true. And I basically was, I had crew members say to me over the years, they felt that they were part of my family. They weren't just workers at the studio. They said I treated them like family with respect and with care, and we became friends over the years. And it meant the world to me. So I just wanted to share that with you that, and we didn't think of it as serving. We didn't think of it as that grand word. It was just, my crew is volunteer, and I'm glad. And you make a lot of phone calls and emails. Sometimes I had to pick the teenagers up because their parents couldn't bring them and they weren't driving yet. And it was just, getting them to get off their phones while they were running a camera. And Lucy, I would say to one of the camera ops, "Do you realize that you are the eyes of the audience? And when we go to your camera, whatever you show is what goes out of the studio. It doesn't matter what's happening inside here, it's what goes out." Yes, and now I run the cameras here on the show, so I understand that. But anyway, it was very interesting, very interesting. Okay, so this is my new TV show basically. This is the same thing, right? It's
Yes.
you're all on camera, we're talking, we're going out as video. It's really just like a bunch of remote TV shows. So there we go. Okay, now before I get too philosophical here, Lucy, it's time in the show for us to go to the creativity quote segment where I've asked each of you to pick a quote from a fictional character in a movie or TV show or a song lyric, and you're going to relate it briefly to your own creativity. So, Lucy has picked a very, very, very famous and popular quote. Has something to do with food, by the way, no surprise. The quote is from Forrest Gump, played by Tom Hanks, the movie Forrest Gump, and I'm reminded there are two R's in Forrest. 1994 comedy drama and romantic drama film. It had 13 Academy Award nominations. It won 6 Oscars, unbelievable, 3 Golden Globe Awards, and incredible. So here's the quote that Forrest says that's often slightly misquoted, but he's sitting on a bench and he's talking to a woman who sits next to him on this bench while they're waiting for a bus. And he says, "Like my mama always said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get." Okay, Lucy, I'm putting you back on speaker view. I'd love to have some chocolates right now, but that's
Oh
besides the
dear.
point. There's one waiting for me in the fridge. Why don't you take 2 or 3 minutes and tell us what this has to do with your creativity? Lucy, go.
Well, I relate to it with my upbringing, my first generation Italian American. And yes, I'm always involved with food, but my first language was probably food and the table. My parents obviously fed us well, but Dad kept saying the people around the table are just as important, if not more important, than the food. And we had always a table full of people. On Sunday after church, he had open house, and all my childhood, family had to come, members, strangers came, friends came, and he always would ask us, bring your friends. We had this open house, could be 10 in the morning and 10 at night. But the point I'm getting to that Dad would say always, and if you had someone you didn't like, bring them next Sunday to dinner, and we're going to find out about them. I thought it was strange, but he said you had to know inside, not just their outside. He used an Italian quote. I guess the American would be, don't judge a book by your cover. If I may say, the Italian was abito non fa il monaco, which meant if you put on a monk's robe, what's under you, you're not a monk. And so sometimes we judge people by the outside. So I said, he always said, you have to know the inner person. I didn't mean to relate it to chocolates, but he said, you don't reject anyone, and I never reject chocolates. So I love them all, but sometimes you have to bite into them to know what's really in them. And there's a lot of people that are lonely out there in the world. You invite them to dinner and you find out who they are, and you can get really to like them. And my goal in life has always been to make people happy, and I've had that at the dinner table. I'm very happy when you hear them laughing. A couple of times my husband would say, why do you enjoy this so much? I said, listen to them laughing, and they're having fun. In the Italian table, we have fun. It's not just eating. So I related it to my dad and my upbringing, that we must love all people in this world. And we had a house full of different people.
That's beautiful. And I'm thinking it goes a couple of other ways. One is they didn't necessarily know what they were going to get at the table when they came to dinner or to breakfast, right?
Right.
And
right.
the other thing is you didn't know exactly what you were going to get when you invited these people to your table, especially the ones you didn't like so much.
Yes.
You weren't sure what was going to be in that box of chocolates, as he said. So thank you very much. Very, very
Thank
beautiful quote. Let's go to Kim's quote. Kim has picked a very charming line stated by Anna Scott, played by Julia Roberts. The film was Notting Hill, 1999 romantic comedy film starring Julia Roberts, Hugh Grant, Rhys Ifans, Emma Chambers, Hugh Bonneville. He's all over the place today. Gina McKee and Tim McInerney. And the story follows Anna Scott, the world's most famous movie star, whose chance meeting with a humble London bookstore owner, William Thacker, blossoms into an unexpected romance despite the pressures of fame. It had three Golden Globe nominations, all kinds of things. It won a Best Comedy Film Award, and Hugh Grant won a British Comedy Award for Best Actor. So there we go. And the soundtrack featured some interesting songs too. Here is the quote. Kim, I'll get to it eventually. Here is the quote Kim has picked. I'm also just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her. Oh, everybody go, oh, come on, everybody. Oh, there we go. Okay, Kim, rescue me. What does this have to do with your creativity? Please go.
Well, I really felt that, first of all, I felt that I had to write the book. It was sort of part of my contract to write this book. And it's very raw and it's very personal and very, very vulnerable. I thought that was very important. And I feel like I put it out in the world and said, this is me at the most vulnerable. Please love me anyway. And I think that, one of the reasons I really wanted to write it is to have the conversation, because so many people are experiencing things and have this strong intuition and have these experiences that we're not really talking about. And I purposely wrote it with interwoven into my life so that people knew that I'm a person. This is just a part of my life, a very important part of my life. But we need to talk about it because no one's, spirituality is on the rise. Organized religion has been declining and people want answers. We understand more about energy. We understand more about, a lot of people are communicating with the other side. As a matter of fact, University of Virginia started a whole division in their medical department. They're trying to prove that consciousness survives death. And in their medical department, in the science world.
You're scaring me.
Yeah, I mean, they're not questioning that it's happening. They're questioning how is it happening. I really wanted this to just be a raw account of just exactly what's happening in my life so people can talk about it and know there's a place where they're safe to talk about it.
Thank you. Very, very interesting and very beautiful quote, by the way. And I think it applies to a lot of us at a lot of stages of our lives. And we'll just leave that there before I start to cry. Deetra has picked an interesting quote from one of the best all-time ever loved movies, Mary Poppins, played by the wonderful Julie Andrews, 1964 musical fantasy comedy film featuring live action and animation, real people, Julie Andrews, Dick Van Dyke, David Tomlinson, Glynis Johns, haven't heard her name in a long time, Karen Douglas, and Matthew Garber. I know Victor Garber. I don't know Matthew. A magical nanny arrives at the troubled, Banks household in London and leads the children on fantastical adventures while helping reconnect the family. It had 13 Academy Award nominations, 5 Oscar wins, and this was Julie Andrews' film debut, and she won Best Actress. Film editing, visual effects, original song, and the original song it won for was Chim Chim Cheree, which was a surprise because it wasn't Feed the Birds or A Spoonful of Sugar. It was Chim Chim Cheree. That won the song of the year. And A Spoonful of Sugar, yes, became some of the most beloved songs, but the Oscar went to Chim Chim Chimney, Chim Chimney, Chim Chim Cheree. I have a friend who begs me not to sing on the show, and I'm so sorry, Bob, if he's listening. Okay, so here is the quote that Deetra has picked. In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and snap, the job's a game. Oh, I love that. Deetra, tell us a little bit more how this relates to we all know the answer, but tell us anyway. Go ahead.
Well, I must tell you, the first part is that I grew up in family restaurants. And so you have to understand, you have a child who started doing her first task of learning how to run a cash register at age 9 in our family business. And so for my mother and my father, it's also, so I probably did not feel like this was real work. There was always some element of fun to the things I had to do around the restaurant, whether that was cleaning the tables or whatever it was. My parents always felt like, one, it was building character in me. Number two, I'd have good people skills when I grew up. And number three, it was just part of what we did because we owned a business. And so for me, always finding an element of fun. And because my parents actually were wonderful in doing that for me, it never made me feel like the work was mundane or something I didn't like, to the point that I still will fly home to Arkansas on occasion, and my local hometown can find me standing at the cash register helping my father out. And so it is no matter what my titles are, no matter how many people I have that report to me, no matter what $1 million budget I'm managing, my father and my mom have always been priority. And so when I go home, I return to that little girl who always found a way to make fun out of the work that I did at the restaurant. And so for me, this one fit my life, my upbringing. And what I've tried to do in many of my leadership roles is to help my staff find that element of fun. And so that work, even though it's heavy sometimes, it doesn't always have to feel mundane. And it doesn't have to always drain you.
You want to do a shout out to the restaurant? What's the name of the restaurant?
Oh,
Your parents?
absolutely. Granny's
Please.
Kitchen in Whitehall,
Okay.
Arkansas. And
Okay.
so I am excited. My hometown is very close to that, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So yes, absolutely. If you're in the area,
Lovely.
stop by.
It was in the intro, but I wanted you to say it again. And what's your favorite meal that they serve? Is there a favorite, a top dish
Well,
they're
it's
known
Southern
for?
home cooking. And so, because I don't like the real preparation that it takes when you do these things right, real farm to table, because we usually get most of our produce and things from our groceries and things from local farmers, I do not like the prep work that it takes to cook real greens. And so I love that when I go home. Peeling candy yams and sweet potatoes is not something I enjoy, but my father believes in it and he cuts them a certain way so people know they're not from a can. And then, of course, there's the ever loved macaroni and cheese. And so those are absolutely my favorites. And my father has a special seasoning he developed 20 years ago that he uses that is the secret sauce at his restaurant.
I know Lucy is enjoying this part of the conversation here because I don't think she's serving mac and cheese and sweet potatoes at her as a restaurant, but interesting food culture. It is part of who we are, right? It's part of our
Yes.
lives, whether it's just family holidays during the year where you always serve this, you always, or it's Sunday dinner if you live close enough to family and friends. So yeah, there's something about food and laughter to me are
Yes.
the two things that unite us all over and smiles. music sometimes, as long as I'm not singing. It's not that bad. Okay, and let's go now. Thank you, ladies, for the interesting quotes. Appreciate it. Let's go to the part of the show. This is the real roundtable, and I'm going to tell you how it works. I'm going to read one or two creativity statements. You don't have to find what you sent me. I have it all here. Lucy, I picked the first two from you, and I'm going to read them, and I'm going to ask you to unpack them. Take about 2 minutes. I'm looking at the clock. We got to keep moving here. I want you to unpack them, tell us a little bit more, and then I'm going to ask Kim and I'm going to ask Deetra to comment on whether these are relevant to you or not, whether these are relate to your own style of creativity, your own method. So here we go. Lucy says, between 5 and 8 in the morning are my creative hours at home on my laptop, working on culinary lectures and books occupy my quiet morning time. So, Lucy, why don't you give us about 2 minutes, expand this a little bit, and then we'll see what the other ladies have to say. Go ahead, Lucy.
Well, I guess I'm following my Italian mother in a different way. She got up 2 hours earlier to make breakfast for us and prep dinner because she was a working mother. And she felt that motherhood and housemaking is an honorable profession. So if you had things to do, you do it before the kids get up, which I did. My personal stuff, and they always had our meal together. But it is the time when I love it. I love nature, and I can go out on the deck and write. And I always been a lover of nature. And when you're outside, I think sometimes we don't enjoy it enough. And that's my creative time. I love writing by myself, believe it or not. And I love the early morning. As I was telling my sister today, it's my time. I have a very, very, very busy day. I'm with people all day, but that's my time.
Thank
The
you.
2 hours
And
in the
I've
morning.
I've peeked ahead at some of the statements from Kim and Deetra. And Kim, you especially, I think you're going to echo about the morning time. Kim, why don't you tell us what your creative time of day
Oh
is? Go
no,
ahead.
total opposite. Yeah,
Oh, okay, go ahead.
no, even in my career, the joke was don't let me write anything before 3 p.m. because
Oh, for goodness sake.
I'm a
Okay.
totally different. I am not a morning person. I have learned, and I thought once I had kids, I'd become a morning person.
Yeah.
But the minute they could make themselves their own breakfast, they were all up before me. I was the last one up, and I was getting ready for. I'd go down, I'd kiss them, I'd go back up and get ready for work, and they were the first ones at school. I think it's really was helpful for them that they just had to persevere. But no, as a matter of fact, most of my writing was at night. I've
Interesting.
gotten better. I've gotten better,
I
but
miss I misread that. I saw the 3 p.m. and I
yeah,
thought you meant before. Interesting.
no,
Deetra, what's your time of day for writing? What's your best time?
It's later in the afternoon as well. I am not the morning person, but I do love
yeah.
nature. So I resonate with that very well.
Very, very interesting. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you for that. And let's go now to Kim. And I'm going to pull up a couple of your statements here. This is interesting. You say, water and the beach are areas where I find stimulation. Nature is my biggest inspiration. Here's the part I mostly write first in my head. And then I rush home to put my thoughts on paper. I've never heard this before. I have a lot of people on this show. And you say, I'm never quite sure if what I write about comes from me or the spirits who guide me. I ask for their input frequently. And I also noticed here, you said it's only been in the past few years that I can write in the morning. I think you meant you can't write in the morning. So that's what threw me off. Okay, so talk to us about this. About water in the beach and writing in your head. What are you writing in your head? And then we'll find out what Lucy and Deetra think. Go ahead.
I will tell you that I felt really guided in this book. I started working with some mediums I became friends with, and the very first time one of them worked with me, she said, "I've been meditating on you for the last half hour. How many people do you have up there?" And I said, "A lot." And she said, "Are you writing something?" And I said, "Yes, I'm writing a book." And she turned her notebook around. She's also a drawer, a sketch artist for people that she channels. And she had a whole page of notes and sketches. And she said, "Well, they all want to be part of the book." And it was really true. I used to live closer to the mountains, and I would hike all the time. And they would tell me their story. They would tell me the story they wanted me to tell in the book. And even now, I gave everyone in the book who was alive the opportunity to change their name, and some who are dead. to change their name or not. And some chose not and some did. And my sister-in-law called me the other day and she said, "Why did you name her brother Liam?" And I said, "I don't know. Most of the names just came to me. I'm not sure why." And she said, "That was his birth name." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "My parents named him Liam at the hospital. He's the eighth child. When they came home, we all said, we don't like that name. We've never heard of it. We don't care if it's Irish. No, change his name." So they changed his name. But for some reason in the book, I named him Liam because that's what I heard. And he talked to me a lot. He's a friend of mine who passed away at 39 years old. And he was very, very, very involved. So that's what I mean. I can be out even now just walking by the beach, or again, I still love the mountains. So I'm not as close to them. My house burned down in the Palisades fire. So I was right up against the mountain, and I'm not now. But I would even remember stories people would tell me that I didn't necessarily remember while I was sitting at my desk writing. And there were times that I would run home to make sure I got things down so I didn't forget them.
Interesting. I ask all my author guests, and not everybody on the show is an author, but I'd say about 95% are, where they capture those thoughts, those ideas. And some of them say they speak into a voice recorder app on their phone.
Mhm.
Some write on the back of receipts in restaurants if they get an idea. There you go, Lucy. You need to give people a pen to write their next song title on the back of the receipt. Yeah, anyway. And they write on scraps of paper, they write in journals. And so the question is, how do you capture? And I have a quote from a famous musician about that in a minute. Deetra, can you relate
Yes.
to that? Mountains and water,
Well,
and
I
what do
will
you
tell
think?
you
Yeah.
absolutely. One, I am in awe of just this amazing earth that God has created. And so, whenever I get a chance to see water, particularly places like Niagara Falls, or I'm at the ocean, I see just how obedient the waters are, to our Maker. It is amazing to me. And yes, I actually get inspiration through my meditation and prayers every morning. And so, I am confident that that small inner voice of mine comes through me spending that time in quiet and in preparation for hearing directly from my spirit what I'm to do. And I really am doing that because, in and of myself, I'm not going to wake up and be the most person that's ready to just go out into the world and serve every day. And I ready my heart and my mind. And so, yes, through meditation, prayer, and a quiet time, I do. So, yes, I resonate tremendously with what she's just shared.
Thank you. Lucy, when do you get your ideas?
Oh my gosh, all day long. I think I'm an oddball. But
No, I don't
anyway,
think so at all.
no,
But
no.
it's
I'm with people all day and at the table, and sometimes we'll bring up subjects and ideas and ask people's opinions. And it's fascinating, but I'm all day and I am, as they know in the family, I sleep 4 hours. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, believe it or not, I'm in bed thinking of many things and putting my thoughts together. And then 5 o'clock, I'm ready to write and get going on it. But it's all day activities. And at 3 o'clock, when I'm up, I'm thinking and planning what I'm going to do and then attack the
then
paper.
you attack.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Kim, thank you for sparking that part of the roundtable. Very interesting. Kim, I know we all want to know, are you seeing things about the three of us, about Lucy and Deetra and me right now? Are you seeing things that we may or may not want you to say on the air?
No,
You're not
no,
okay.
it doesn't really work that way for me. I mean, if there was something a spirit guide or someone wanted me to know that would help you, I could have that experience. But in general, I don't. I know people ask me that. I don't walk by people and hear them.
Okay.
I feel like I'm really fed information, and it's usually information that's important for me to know or for someone else to know. I
And
definitely when people are in trouble or there's been an accident or there's been a health scare or something is the a lot of my
interesting. I wonder. I wrote a couple of romantic comedy plays about 8 years ago when I had my TV studio in New York, and I had some community theater actors act them out, and we put them on a a bench in a bare studio with a green curtain for the green screen, and we videoed in virtual backgrounds. And the first play was they were standing in front of Penn Station meeting through a dating app, and they were wearing Groucho Marx masks, faces with big glasses and a big fake nose, and they met through numbers. Are you X number 3449-ABWX? Yes, I am. Nice to meet you. And then they got in this cab, which was didn't exist, virtual cab. But the reason I'm telling you this, Kim, is that my characters told me who they were, what they liked, where they wanted to go, how they were going to speak to each other. I wrote the play in 3 nights from 1 till 4 in the morning. I had a full-time
Wow.
job and I just sat
There
down
you
and wrote.
go.
They just told. And so the question is, was it me? Was it me being those characters in my experiences?
Yeah.
Was it somebody I might have known on the other side or not yet met them? I don't know, but I just say that they were channeling who they were through me. And they were very interesting people, by the way, and the play was really good. So, Kim, tell me, was this coming from some spirituality, or was I just somebody who was a good storyteller? Can you know?
Maybe both. Maybe both. Maybe they were using it. I get used all the time. Sometimes I say, yeah, just use me. Fine. I'll channel. I'll tell that person. And other times I have to turn it off because it's too much. But yeah, I feel a lot like a vessel, and I'm okay with that. I feel like that's my calling, and I'm perfectly okay with it. But
Okay.
you may. I mean, it's you're the only one that would know what
I
you
guess
think.
so. And I speak to and I have close friends who are fantasy and sci-fi writers, and they have characters who just talk to them all the time. They just sit there and write and just write and write and write and write, and the book comes together. And okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. So thank you for that, Deidre. I'm going to your statements. I think we've covered them all, but one we didn't yet. You say you talked about Niagara Falls. You say you're influenced by people who go for their dreams despite the odds. But the one I want to go to briefly and see what the other ladies have to say is you say, I'm most creative when I'm driven by purpose. Just briefly, Deetra, how does that make you feel more creative? What do you create and what purpose is it specifically that's driving you? Can you share that with us?
I think a part of what I believe my purpose is to improve the world and leave it a little bit better than when I found it. And so a lot of times I've been very fortunate to be in environments where through my career and my personal life, I've been in places where I have been able to serve. And so I am very driven when I think there is something that I can improve or make better or make someone's outcome different or, make sure that because they cross my path, that their life is a little bit better. I get extremely driven by that. And so I have this insatiable desire to just make sure I push to the end. And whether that is creating a new solution for housing or healthcare or whatever career I found myself in, it could be a friend who mentions something that they need to get done. They're not sure which way to go. I somehow spring into action. And I think that's why I've always believed deep down, which is now how I came to this title, that serving is truly a superpower. It's what drives me more than anything else in life to leave things better than when I found them.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. Briefly, Kim, anything resonate with you on this? And then Lucy, just real fast because we got a couple minutes left. Go ahead,
I
Kim.
agree too. I mean, it's been the greatest joy for me, this book, because the conversation has sparked a lot of healing and people have really sought out um, that healing process. And, they didn't necessarily, again, I'm not asking anyone to believe. I'm just asking
Mhm.
them to explore their own experiences and their own knowledge. And it's happening a lot. And people call me and say, this changed my life. I mean, people who hadn't even read the book yet just heard me speak because it opened something up in them. And that has been incredibly rewarding for me. Just the whole reason to even be going down this path. It's
Interesting.
amazing.
Lucy, I'm happy for you. Lucy, any thoughts on having a purpose? Well, you've
Wanted
got
to
multiple.
ask, I
Go ahead.
wanted to ask him a question. Does she have any ideas on thought waves? I get this thought, by golly gee, I haven't seen somebody for 3 years. I get up and there it is on my computer. And I don't know what it is, but my
Yeah.
husband said, don't dream of me in a coffin because no, it's true.
Yeah,
Everything, it's
yeah.
happened 5 times. Any idea?
Yep.
Any
No,
thoughts?
it's the same thing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
intuition. I mean, I have intuition so strong I can't function until I follow up on it.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
even from the time I was in college,
Yeah.
when something's wrong, I have to go there. So and you know what? I personally believe it's happening more. I think maybe just because more people are telling me. But about 75% of everyone I speak to has had some kind of experience
Yes.
in
Yes.
in in that they never really, a lot of people never told anyone the experience that
Yep.
they had.
Yes. Yes.
So
Interesting.
I think people are talking about it more, but that intuition that you are have experienced is
Yes.
not uncommon.
Oh,
And the more
Interesting.
people talk
okay.
about it, the more you realize it's pretty common.
And sometimes I say to myself, don't think about a certain person because I know they're going to call me on the phone or email me or text
Yeah,
me within 24 hours, and they typically do. It's
right.
I don't call it a power. Sometimes it's just an annoyance. But I say to myself, stop thinking about him. I don't want to talk to him. I just talked to him 3 weeks ago. Enough is enough. And then, there's oh yes, I have to say hello. Maybe I don't. There we go. We got 4 minutes. Thank you very much, ladies. Very, very interesting. I have some things to share with you now for a couple of minutes before we close, and we will have some dancing music at the end, so get ready. So I have a quote from Lucy Maud Montgomery, who wrote the novel Anne of Green Gables in 1908. She's a Canadian author, and I love the title of chapter 19. Get this: A Concert, a Catastrophe, and a Confession. Kim, is that a title or what? A concert, a catastrophe, and a confession. And she said, something, this is about creativity, something just flashes into your mind, so exciting, and you must out with it. If you stop to think it over, you spoil it all. Isn't that interesting, ladies, about catching those little buzzes, those little figments? And I'm going to talk about that a little more in a second. And Rapunzel in the movie Tangled 2010, 3D computer animated musical adventure fantasy comedy film. Could they have put more genres in there? Mandy Moore was voicing the character. Venture outside your comfort zone. The rewards are worth it. Isn't that true for all of us? We didn't start out being who we are, but we are. Rolling Stone said it in the 69 song, of course. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you'll get what you need. Isn't that the truth? And Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, played in the original Wizard of Oz, 1939. What? Okay, played by Billy Burke. And the line is, "You had the power all along, my dear." I think that resonates with all of us. So here's a quote
Yes.
from David Byrne, who was the front man for the rock band Talking Heads, was interviewed on a radio show, a podcast called How Ideas Happen. Interesting. And he said, and this goes to a little bit of for all of you, sometimes I have just the title of a song that comes to me and I write it down and I go to myself, expand on that. I think there's something there. And I have in my computer a whole lot of musical ideas that maybe have a melody, a nonsense word, waiting for words if it's a melody. But I need something to start with. It's hard to start from nothing. I accumulate these very little beginnings. And when I come back, I have something to build on. And the comment to go with that was, our minds fizz with fragments of ideas, puzzles to ponder, clues on how to fix a problem. Most of us undervalue that chatter, but writers and artists systematically capture these little beginnings. I love that quote. That's in my notes every week, and I share that with you. And now I'm a poet. I belong to an online poetry group. We got a minute and a half here. I can do this fast. And I'm dedicating this to you, ladies. The poem, that we get a prompt every Wednesday from a moderator, and we just share our poems online on this website. And then on every day in April and November of each year, we get a prompt a day, and I write between 2 and 5 poems a day, April's and November. So I've got about 800 poems. And this is from July 24th. Today's the 27th. July 24th was a Wednesday in 2024. And the prompt we got was the word night shift. Nighthtshift. And I wrote an acrostic, one of my favorites. So I'm going to nod when I hit the letters of NIGHTS, and I dedicate this to you. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative. Going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights are the days again, shifting off and on, into and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration, fears. Thus is the life of the creative. I hope you enjoyed that, ladies.
Beautiful.
Dedicate that to you. And I
Very
have
good.
another acrostic, a real quick one. The prompt was blank like blank. Write a blank like blank poem, and I used the word blank like blank. Believe in love always. Never kiss a leprechaun in a kayak. Every boat's like a nervous kangaroo. There you go. That's another acrostic. So, ladies, in 2014, I ended my show with the top 10 tips for women, and the number one still holds true today because it was 10 years before the movie, and now you'll know what it is. The tip was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. Okay, there you go. Now, here's the real closing. Life is short. Break the rules. Don't we all? Forgive quickly. I'm still trying to learn that one. Deetra, maybe you can help me with that. Kiss slowly. Yes, I learned that a long time ago. Love truly. Ladies, laugh uncontrollably. Laugh with me right now. One, two, three. Don't hurt yourself. And never regret anything that made you file. Final words make you smile. Final words before we play the music. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. When I taught disco in high heels in a high school cafeteria to 175 people, and they wouldn't give me a stage till I begged them to give me a stage, I didn't fall off the table, but boy, did people watch. Sing like nobody's listening, and love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart regrow, regroup, regenerate, and love again. Money talks, chocolate sings, la. That's not bad. And last but not least, I stole this line from somebody years ago. Thank you for turning me on, and let's do our closeout. Here we go.
Creativity
Dance with me.
alive hour, let it flow.
Jordan, we're just about done.
Unscripted words in a velvet ring.
Velvet ring.
Savvy minds on the line, they
Hold that book up.
producer and host in the glow.
In the glow.
AKA
Radio Red. Let's go.
Tell me what it is that
Sparks your fire.
What keeps you moving?
Wave goodbye.